All right, Pierce Smith, Cosmopolitan Chud here with my latest installment in the sordid case of Lindsay Clancy. This is the fourth episode in my series, and as I've said in other videos, studying Mandarin Chinese was a big part of my life during my teenage years and my early 20s. In Chinese, the word for four and the word for death sounds almost exactly the same. To us, they sound exactly the same because English is not a tonal language. The only difference is the tone. So if I say the number four, it's s, fourth tone, s, four. If I say to die, it's s, s, third tone, that's death, s. And if I say 44, 44, 44, 410, 4. If I say 4, death is death. It sounds almost exactly the same. So I use this occasion, my fourth episode, to broach an issue that I believe is somewhat ill-fated. Now, we are completely correct about this issue on the right wing, those of us who choose to discuss this intellectually deep and incredibly important issue. But most people in our society are absolute Philistines. Most people don't care about the truth. And to be troubled by something of intellectual or philosophical depth is almost a personal insult to many people in our society. So I view this as a somewhat ill-fated topic, but it needs to be broached, and it is the topic of feminist Gnosticism. And this is really the issue for adjudicating or determining whether Lindsay Clancy truly is Blue America's sweetheart. And unfortunately, I think she largely is for many reasons. So we need to understand feminist Gnosticism. And first things first, I've got to applaud and cite a man who is very unpopular among the online right today, and with very good reason he is unpopular. He says many quite stupid things, even though he's a very intelligent guy. He gets into all these ego battles that he cannot win. And he appears to be quite a grifter in many respects. He's got like a big cruise that he and Michael O'Fallon are going to do with a bunch of guys who can afford this cruise with them. So, and that's just one among many of his grifts. This guy is just, and the man, his name is James Lindsay. Now, he might have become a grifter. He might have expended all of the social capital that he gained in the online right on his kind of fatuous quest to create this term of the woke right, oh my God. And that is the dumbest thing that he's probably ever done, and I don't think he will ever recover from that. But we do owe him a debt because he had the intellect and the courage to popularize the phrase feminist Gnosticism. And he did, in fact, educate many people in the online right on the topic of Gnosticism. And for that, we should applaud James Lindsay, and very much so. Now, Gnosticism is the first thing you need to understand. There's a capital G Gnosticism and a lowercase g Gnosticism. Capital G Gnosticism is a historical phenomenon, but it's very intimately related to lowercase g Gnosticism, all these other forms of Gnosticism, among which Marxism is kind of the key form today. But Gnosticism develops out of Christianity. It's kind of the heresy that Christianity is susceptible to. So there are certain ideas or people, and there are vices or mistakes that you're uniquely susceptible to. And Christianity, it's uniquely susceptible to Gnosticism because there are kernels of Gnosticism in Christianity. And if you don't have a mature and sober orientation towards Christianity, it's very easy to overdo it and to overinterpret a lot of things. But basically, Gnosticism, and so this is a recurring heresy that has happened many times. You have the original Gnostics in the early centuries after Christ, and this was a huge movement at that time. And there's a guy you should read about that. His name is Hans Jonas, or Hans Jonas. He was a German of the 20th century. He wrote extensively about the historical phenomena related to Gnosticism. And there's one other German you should read here. His name's Erich Vögelin, or Erich Vögelin, or Vögelin. And he wrote about what he called Gnostic mass movements of the 20th century. He viewed communism and fascism as Gnostic mass movements. And he's also worth reading. And I'll try to explain why he viewed them that way now. So all Gnostic heresies basically have two things in common. They view this entire world and our material bodies as a prison. So for my Spengler fans out there, the Magian view of the world as cave in the Spenglerian view. Certainly Christianity, Islam, they all have this to some degree. The world as cave. The world is an illusion to some degree. Most monotheistic religions have that to some degree. But in something like Christianity, that is tempered by the respect for the body, by the idea, the doctrine, that with the resurrection, we will actually receive our bodies back. Perfect, that they will be made perfect by God and be able to live forever. You will be embodied. You won't just be some spirit out in the world. Like, that is correct Christian doctrine, that you should always be embodied. And there's a deep truth in that. And something that makes me respect and admire Christianity even more than I do, the depth of this theology is truly extraordinary and so beneficial for the mind and the spirit when you truly embrace it and try to engage with the great minds that have expounded this faith over many centuries. It is truly a great tradition, and it is a blessing to enjoy the fruits of this great tradition. And so that's part of the Gnostic heresy. Your body and the entire world, it's a prison, all right? You can see how transgenderism is a Gnostic heresy in its fundamental nature here. Your body is a prison. The world is a prison. Okay, so that's one part. The second part, the other key to Gnosticism and why it's Gnostic, gnosis, means knowledge in ancient Greek. It's the same root as diagnosis and prognosis. Knowledge, okay? And the Gnostic believes that they have salvific knowledge. The anointed have this knowledge. This is, you see it all the time with the Marxist false consciousness and their consciousness raising. That's a Gnostic endeavor. They're saying, once you understand our knowledge, you will see that it is a prison, and that will lead you towards the salvation. And all these Gnostic mass movements have that. Once everybody in society believes what we believe, then we will have salvation. It's a key Gnostic idea. So, your body is a prison, the world is a prison. By understanding this, and by having the special knowledge about white privilege or patriarchy or what have you, you will overcome this prison-like condition that you are in. Now, how does all of this relate to feminism more broadly, the abortion issue in particular, and Lindsay Clancy even more particularly? Well, I think it's quite obvious, right? In feminist doctrine, every woman is imprisoned in her body. Men are free of this prison. They cannot get pregnant, or maybe they can. I don't know. Well, what is a woman? Can men get pregnant? Men can breastfeed. Okay, but But men, they escape this prison. They don't have to birth children. In fact, it's men with their fucking dicks who impregnate us and make us live this life of just incredible imprisonment in being pregnant and having to care for children. So they view this, and it's unfair, because by nature, men don't have to suffer that, and we do. And we are better than you because we have the knowledge of this oppression, and you lack that. You lack the knowledge of our oppression. You have false consciousness. Our consciousness is so much deeper and broader and blah, blah, blah than yours because we recognize the oppression, and you can't. So you see, this is a fundamental revolt against nature and a fundamental revolt against reality. Reality itself, God himself, is antagonizing you by making you a woman, by subjecting you to a menstrual cycle, by subjecting you to the potential of being a mother. Like, this is just, a punishment worse than damnation. I mean, this freaking guy, this God, this, oh gosh, what's his name? This demiurge, that he's the maker. So this is another part of the Gnostic heresy. In their heretical view of Christianity, Yahweh is actually Satan. Like, that's how messed up these people are. Yahweh is Satan in their worldview because he created the world as a prison for you. He's not the real God. That's what they say. They say the Jewish God Yahweh, the Christian God the Father, is not the real God. He's just the maker of this false reality that he has you live in. It's the same structure of every single left-wing movement today. They are all Gnostic in their structure. Study James Lindsay, study Eric Vögelin, study Hans Jonas, and you will see this quite clearly. They are all Gnostic in their structure, all of these left-wing movements. But feminist Gnosticism is particularly abhorrent because it relates so intimately to abortion. I mean, it is the key motivation behind the craze for abortion. Because that child is imprisoning you. Your body is imprisoning you. God is such an asshole that he makes it that you can get pregnant. This is a terrible affront to your individuality, an affront to your well-being. And if God, reality, and the kids are holding you down so much, then don't you have to take matters into your own hands? So that you might enjoy some freedom, some happiness that this world denies you. I mean, it's pretty obvious how all of this stuff relates. Why do you think she has all these supporters? Why do you think there are people in all these pink outfits, these disgusting women out there? I mean, they're disgusting on so many levels, but they are disgusting. Let us call a spade a spade. It's very difficult to understand anything about this case in the broader context of this case without facing the abortion issue courageously and intelligently and recognizing that it is the fundamental way that feminist Gnosticism is expressed in our society. Is by this child sacrifice. And it is child sacrifice. It's child sacrifice to the ego. Now, not the Freudian ego. In other videos, I've kind of extolled the Freudian ego, but very briefly. Only another Freudian could kind of understand what I'm really getting at when I'm talking about das Ich, when I'm talking about the I. Very important. Very important. But in terms of the colloquial way that ego is used to just mean grandiosity, essentially. These children are being sacrificed for the grandiosity of adults. And there's so many ways that it's happening. I mean, look at the public schools, which are a make-work program for a client class of the Democratic Party at this point. There's not even any emphasis on actually teaching the kids on what would be best for the kids. There's an emphasis on what is best for the teachers and how the teachers can pursue their political and ideological agenda through the kids in the best way possible. So that's more of the communist Gnosticism, the cultural Marxist Gnosticism, but feminist Gnosticism is an integral part of all of that. That's why they're always working together. But this is the fundamental issue here. Women believe themselves to be imprisoned by their menstrual cycles, by God, by reality. Their fundamental manner of revolting against what they view as an unjust reality is by subordinating their kids to their will, or even just killing the kids. Before they're born, after they're born, does it really matter? I'm hurting inside. I need help. These are very despicable people. They must be stopped. Feminist Gnosticism must be stopped. I don't know if we have any reasonable prospect that it should be stopped in my lifetime. I'm certain it will stop eventually. That which is unsustainable, that which is against nature, will always stop eventually. But a lot of eggs will probably be cracked in this fatuous and ill-fated quest to create this utopian omelet. Anyway, feminist Gnosticism is the key issue underlying everything in the Lindsay Clancy case. It's the only reason that we're even having a trial. There would not be any sort of indulgence of this quite fraudulent insanity defense if it were not for feminist Gnosticism. There would not be crowds of women chanting for her. I mean, chanting for a blatant psychopath with a 1,000-yard stare who killed her 3 children in cold blood. You think abortion isn't involved in that? Come on. Abortion is everything in this case. It's just a post-birth abortion. It's not infanticide. It's not filicide. It's a post-birth abortion, okay? Okay. Hey. Well, this is the society we live in today. Child sacrifice is quite common. It's quite common. And these people think they're better than all the religious people of hundreds and thousands of years ago. They're no better. They're probably even worse. At least the religious had many countervailing principles going this way and that. Christianity has sin, but it also has repentance. There's a lot more going on with these ancient faiths than any of these superficial clowns give them credit for. But anyway, may God bless you, and I thank you very much for spending some of your precious time watching me, Pierce Smith, Cosmopolitan Chud. Have a very good day. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.